From the Frederick Keys to the Flying Cows, from college courts to Friday night lights, and from the big leagues of local sports to the little leagues where it all begins. This is Frederick Sports, hosted by longtime broadcaster and sports executive John Hunt, bringing over 40 years of play-by-play, insight, and local sports experience to the mic. Frederick Sports starts now.
Almost to the weekend. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Frederick Sports. My name is John Hunt. Doug is on the board today. Thanking him in advance for what's always a great job here in Studio 401. All right. First off, let me just remind you that if you'd like to be part of the show, we're getting close to school starting. So I would love to see a lot of the high school coaches or assistant coaches or athletic directors make their way on. It doesn't just have to be, the top sport, football. It can be any of the sports, boys sports, girls sports, everything from golf to volleyball to what else is going on this time of year. I mean, there's so many different sports. I think soccer happens. I think team tennis is this time of year. Individual tennis comes later on in the year. So there's a lot of different sports happening this time of year, and maybe you need to get kids signed up. Maybe you don't have enough already ready to go and practicing for your team. Get in here. That's what we're here for. You can reach out to me directly at rockthewave13@gmail.com. And I'd be glad to have you on the show. And then as the season gets on and you want to thank people for doing a great job, you want to talk about your kids and how well they're playing, that kind of thing. We'd love to have you on the show for those kind of things as well. Again, like the intro says, everything from the Frederick Keys. We've had the general manager and other individuals on the team on with us on a regular basis, and down to little leagues and cheerleaders and soccer players, football. But like I said, all of them, all the different sports. We are happy to have you here on the air with us. We had Frederick FC on with us earlier in the week. We've had girls flag football coaches from Oakdale here on us. We had card collectors who are building a store in downtown Frederick on the air with us. And we've had DC United players that we've interviewed and brought into the studio. So, there's a lot going on around the region, and you have the opportunity to get the word out about what's going on in your sports land, not just what we like to tell you. I would love to learn that there are more things. Once the school season starts and regular season play gets underway, I'm going to do my best to try to keep up with all the scoring around Frederick County as well. Whether it's a golf match or a soccer match or girls volleyball or, boys or girls soccer or football, any of the above, we're going to try to keep you updated with those scores the same way we do with the Keys and, the Bay Sox, Aberdeen, Hagerstown, all of those teams. We're going to try our best to keep you up with it. And again, if you want to make sure that we have the scores, you can always email me the scores as well. Again, at that email, rockthewave13@gmail.com, because it's hard to believe that on September 4th, they'll be playing. And actually, I think the practice either started yesterday or today for a lot of the high school sports. Golf started a little bit earlier. It is separate from the other sports, but all the sports started either yesterday or today. So that's kind of cool that everything is underway. It's kind of hard to believe. Like I said, teachers went back officially today. Students go back officially next Wednesday, and they're ready to rock and roll. So again, all the high school sports are coming up, and we are looking forward to giving you all the reports, doing, breaks and things like that from some of the local sports. Maybe we'll have our own Friday Night Lights thing. If we can't get the games on, maybe I'll be able to stop by some of the different football locations and kind of let you know what's happening. That might be kind of fun thing to do on Friday nights. Just get around and give you our own version of Frederick's Friday Night Lights. I'm looking forward to it all. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's get into major sports news. This one doesn't necessarily, unless you're a fan of the, gold and purple of the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a crazy business story more than it is a sports story to me. All right, the Los Angeles Lakers majority ownership has been sold to venture capitalist Josh Kushner and former Disney CEO Bob Iger for, get this, $12.5 billion, that's with a B, dollars. Just last season, that same exact majority ownership was purchased by LA Dodgers owner Mark Walter. 10 months, a 2.5, he bought it for $10 million, by the way. He bought it for $10 million, sold it for $12.5 billion in just 10 months. That's a $2.5 billion profit on a sports team. I mean, I've heard of flipping a car, and I don't mean rolling it over. I mean, you get a car that's all torn up, you fix it up, and you sell it for more money. I've heard of, flipping commercial properties or flipping a house. You buy a house for low money, you put some money into it, you fix it up, make it look nice, and you sell it for a profit. This is an insane version of that. At the sports, are you kidding me? A $2.5 billion profit in 10 months for LA Dodgers owner Mark Walter. So I guess he just took care of, paying Ohtani and Freeman and, Mookie Betts and all those other salaries that the Dodgers carry. Tariq Skubal. Yeah, they just picked him up. So now we know where the money just came from. I guess maybe, I don't know that you could say they were feeling the pinch, but again, 10 months for Mark Walter, the owner of the Dodgers. He flips the Lakers. Again, it's not flipping a commercial property. He flipped the Los Angeles Lakers and made $2.5 billion. That's freaking crazy, is it not? Just let that hit you for a second and imagine, you buy a house, like I was saying, you flip the house, you buy the house for $100,000, you put a little bit of work on it, you flip it for $300,000, you make a nice profit. But this dude bought the Lakers majority ownership for $10 billion. And he sells it to Josh Kushner and former CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, for $12.5 billion. Again, a $2.5 billion profit in 10 months. Tell me how I can do that. I guess you got to have money to make money. That's how that works, right? Wow. That's an insane amount of profit in 10 months, flipping the Lakers. Whatever. All right, man. That's crazy. An attorney, this is a football story that's a little different than stuff we normally cover, but it is our Washington Commanders. An attorney representing Washington Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels has informed Louisiana State University, LSU, that it can no longer use his rights to his name and likeness for anything, period. They've sent a cease and desist order, and they have said absolutely not ever again. And the center of this dispute comes from the fact that LSU is allowing a sophomore cornerback, not even quarterback, a cornerback, defensive cornerback, DJ Pickett, to use Daniels' number 5 jersey worn when Jaden won the Heisman Trophy in 2023. Now, his family is upset. They tried to talk to LSU about this. The former coach at LSU had said that he did promise the number 5 to DJ Pickett, but DJ Pickett, when he came to LSU, said it was okay. He didn't want to rock the boat. It was Daniels' number 5. And now the new coach at LSU said it was okay, and he's not going to change his mind. So now you've upset, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL who went there. The jersey number 9, here's just an example of how it doesn't seem to equal up. The jersey number 9 worn by Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow and used at LSU has not been worn since he won the Heisman Trophy back in 2019. LSU has 4 numbers retired in their history. And LSU is a storied SEC program. There's no question. They are, a powerhouse football program. Now, whether you like those kind of schools or not, that's neither here nor there in this case. But the fact is, Joe Burrow, he's had injuries in the NFL. He did have an undefeated season. He did win the trophy, Heisman Trophy in 2019. But LSU has 4 numbers retired. Running back Billy Cannon, he's old school, number 20, is retired. Number 37 for defensive back Tommy Casanova was retired. The number 21 for halfback Jerry Stovall was retired. And number 4 of running back Charles Alexander has also been retired. So there's only been 4 numbers officially retired. They're saying that others will be, including Joe Burrow's. Jaden Daniels should be right up there on the list. He won a Heisman for LSU. He got them in contention for the national championship. They plan to retire the number 7 of former Baltimore Colts quarterback Burt Jones on November 14th. Again, he was a great player at LSU before he became professional and ended up playing in Baltimore for the old school Colts a long time before, they were moved out in the middle of the night and moved to Indianapolis with nobody knowing. That was a crazy time, wasn't it? I was a little kid when that happened. I was never really a Colts fan. I hadn't really gotten to see them much because, we didn't have the NFL where you could watch it on 15 different channels and watch every game spread out over 3 or 4 or 5 days. You had Monday Night Football and you had Sunday Football. That was it. And generally, you got one game. You got whatever the game that was closest to where you lived. And so I grew up watching the Washington Redskins play every Sunday. And once in a while, you'd get an AFC game, but you didn't know who it was going to be. It wasn't necessarily going to be the Baltimore Colts. It would be whatever team was hot at the time. I think, NBC had the AFC and CBS had the NFC. There was no Fox Sports at that time either. That hadn't happened yet. So again, you got to watch every game. You didn't have blackout games like they do now also. But, you did have blackout games in your market if they didn't sell out or if they weren't within 10% of a sellout. And that was to drive people to actually go to the stadium and watch the game and pay money versus watching it on TV. But we never had a problem when I was a kid with the Redskins selling out. So that game was always on every Sunday. So we didn't see the Colts very much. I lived in Southern Maryland growing up as a kid versus here in Frederick. So, and again, the TV networks were a lot different. It was NBC, ABC, CBS, and Channel 20. That's what we had, pretty much. VHF or whatever, VHS, whatever. VHF it was, not VHS. VHS is the machine that came later. But that was it. Those were the channels that we had. Occasionally you had a little access channel somewhere. But, even in the Washington, D.C. market, Fox wasn't there yet. It didn't exist. All the cable channels didn't exist yet. So that's the only way you got to watch them. So anyways, I didn't see much of Burt Jones growing up except highlights. I mean, I know that he was a great quarterback and I know that he was awesome for the Colts. I think he also played for the Jets for a short time as well. So there you go. Is that unfair? Is the player bigger than the university? I don't know. But I think when you compare the careers and the fact that they both won Heisman trophies, Jaden Daniels versus Joe Burrow, I think in the long run, Jaden Daniels has the potential to be better than Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow's a great quarterback as well. But why retire not retire, but why not use the number 9? Has no player ever asked for the number 9 since 2019 versus, a kid who's a defensive back is asking now to use the number of one of the greatest quarterbacks in LSU history. I don't know. There's something to think about. All right, let's go over some of the things that are going to happen here next week because we've got fun coming up. We love having fun. Frederick Feud at Rockwell Brewery is coming up next Tuesday night. Brought to you by your friends at Ken's Transmission, total car care at Ken's Transmission or kenstrans.com. It's not transmission, it's kenstrans.com. And Middletown Valley Bank. They are some great sponsors. We are happy to have them on board here on the Everything Frederick Live Network. AJ will be up there hosting the show. And our friends at Wiser Productions have a great setup that they will have up there. It looks just like the Family Feud set. If you didn't go to the one we had last month, you missed some fun. SOAR was the winner of that round. And the winner of this round next Tuesday will face them for the championship. And from what I understand, it's $1,000 cha-ching for your nonprofit. So one of those 4 nonprofits who are involved, and, they'll win some money. And the fans, the people who come to watch, you'll have a chance to get up there on the stage at the end and make some money for one of the nonprofits that didn't win to help them out as well. So there'll be some trivia. That'll be a lot of fun. Good food, nice adult beverages at Rockwell Brewery, 8411 Broadband Drive. So easy to find. It's the new version of Rockwell if you haven't been there in a while. And tickets are just $25 in advance. Grab yours and help us pack the place because it's going to be a great time. And then the very next day, so if you're not, you're not going to go for the adult beverages, if that's not something that fits in your schedule, we'd love to have you. And by the way, tickets are almost sold out for the 35th anniversary, Wednesday, August 19th of Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. Gary Busey's in it. The gal that played Joan Jett in a movie, Lori Petty, she is also in the movie. Plus the Red Hot Chili Peppers are in the movie, and a lot of other people that you were like, I know that person. I've seen them before. Some musicians also jumped in as surfers. So it's kind of cool. If you wear beach attire, we're going to hook you up with Maryland Lottery scratch-offs. Again, whatever beach attire you're comfortable with works. We're not having a contest, so you don't have to outdo anybody. Just do what you're comfortable with, right? And come on out there and have a good time with it. Everybody who wears beach attire will get hooked up with Maryland Lottery scratch-offs, plus lots of other prizes. We're going to have a wine basket we're going to give away that night. We've got a $25 gift certificate for food we're going to give away that night. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. Right now, if you are single and you don't have something to do that night, there are 3 single seats left in the main seating area. That's it. There are no seats together unless you're, the back row, the handicap accessible row, has a spot for a wheelchair and a seat for the person that comes with them. And there's 2 of those available. So we are almost completely sold out. And or if you want to just come with your friend and, you can wave at them from across the theater. Because again, 3 individual spots are all that's left. They're only $8 a piece too. So just come on out and have a great time with us. You could win some very cool prizes as well. So it's going to be a great time. That's coming your way next Tuesday night at Warehouse Cinemas. We thank them for working with us all throughout the year, but we've got other cool things coming up with them as well. All right, I'm going to take a short break. We're going to take care of business, and I'm going to tell you about all the baseball stuff going on around the region. This is Frederick Sports.
Hot Fired Arts is Frederick's handmade, locally owned art studio where creativity meets community. Since 2016, they've offered hands-on art experiences for all ages, from pottery and fused glass to wet clay and canvas painting. Whether you're looking for a fun family outing, a date night, or a creative outlet, they make art accessible and enjoyable for all skill levels. Stop by and see them today in the Fairview Shopping Center on 7th Street, Frederick, or visit them online at hotfiredarts.com.
Frederick, if you're craving real Chicago-style flavor, Rosati's is bringing it. From their cheesy, loaded deep dish pizza to crispy tavern-style thin crust, every bite is packed with that classic Rosati's taste. And don't sleep on the steak and cheese sub. Hot, hearty, and seriously satisfying. Rosati's has been serving family recipes since 1964, and now you can get it right here in Frederick. Stop by 911 West 7th Street or order online at rosatispizza.com. Rosati's, keeping it real since 1964.
How much should law enforcement be able to see when you drive down the street? Flock cameras are raising serious questions about public safety, privacy, tracking, and your data. Now, Everything Frederick Live is bringing the conversation face to face. Join Maryland gubernatorial candidate Dan Cox, Frederick County Sheriff Chuck Jenkins, former Frederick Mayor Jeff Holtzinger, and State Senator William Folden for a special Flock Camera Town Hall. The questions are yours. The conversation starts here. Join us Wednesday, August 26th at 7 p.m. on Everything Frederick Live.
All right, welcome back to Studio 401. here in, I keep wanting to say downtown Frederick. We're not quite in downtown. We're just up Market Street, right where it changes to Warman's Mill. If you have seen, you're looking, you drive by near Domino's Pizza, and you're like, what is that? It looks like a radio station. Now, they also said that in one of the Cheech and Chong movies, but it was the police station. Hey, man, it looks like a radio station. That was something altogether different. This is not a Cheech and Chong movie. This is the real thing. Professional studios that you could do your podcast in, that you could be helping to sponsor one of the podcasts. You have a local business, we'd love to have you on. If you have a local restaurant, same thing. We'd love to have you on one of the shows, whether it's Good Morning Frederick, whether it's John's House, the 2 morning shows that come on each day, or if you have something sports related, we'd love to have you right here on Frederick Sports in the afternoon at 4:00. So a lot going on there. Just hit me up at rockthewave13@gmail.com if you would like more information on any of those items. All right, baseball been very, very good to me, and let's talk a little baseball right now. Yesterday, the Orioles were not very, very good to me. Thank God I don't bet sports, man, because this team would drive me crazy. As a former general manager, I'm afraid to bet sports because I don't want to turn into Pete Rose. And that's what I would tell all my friends. They're like, hey, you should bet. This is independent ball. You're allowed to. I'm like, I'm allowed to, yes, but I'm not going to do it. I once in a while play, the fantasy sports type of thing, but I will not bet games. I don't do it. And nothing. That's what you like to do. Good for you. That's awesome. I just can't do it because, I never know if that's something I'm going to end up going back to some century from now, but I'm getting much older, so it's probably not going to happen. This is my home, and I am looking forward to doing this for a long, long time. But either way, because I've had those ties to professional baseball, I do not bet sports. I just don't do it. You can ask me who I like, and I'll tell you, but I'm not going to put my money on it. So, anyways, the Orioles have been driving me crazy all year. I don't know how to predict these guys. They lost yesterday 7-5 to Minnesota. They are 2 games back, though, in the wild card chase because everybody else in the wild card chase also lost. So the Orioles are off tonight. They'll play at Tampa this weekend. Tampa's leading the division. That's not who you would have expected to lead. They have years where they'll have one really good year and they'll disappear for 3. Tampa Bay is leading the American League East by a decent amount over the Yankees, and then the Red Sox. They're all ahead of the Orioles in the division, but winning the wild card is the opportunity for the Orioles to make the playoffs. And again, they're only 2 games out, with 55 games or so left. The Cubs beat the Nationals yesterday 12-6. They are 5 games out in the wild card. They're playing the Cubs right now. They started at 4, and don't worry about scores. We will talk about that tomorrow. Nationals will go to New York City. They'll go to Citi Field and play the Mets starting tomorrow for a 3-game series. Last night, our Keys, who are already in the playoffs, they have already won the first half. They're going to have 2 games at home in September for playoff time. They lost to Bowling Green. That's who I'm thinking. If you want me to pick something, I'm going to say the Keys against Bowling Green in the championship for the South Atlantic League. They got a little taste yesterday. Bowling Green beat the Keys in 10 innings by the score of 6-2. Game 3 is tonight. Tomorrow, it's Art in the Park right here in Frederick. And that's a kind of a cool night, I think, for the kids because they will give you a fired bird mascot-looking little statue that the kids can paint. And I don't know that it is on there where you're looking, but it is a cool little bird statue that the kids can paint themselves. They'll have a little painting area for the kids. I'm sure they'll have bibs and stuff like that so they don't mess up their clothes, parents. But it'll be fun for them. Art in the Park comes your way tomorrow here in Frederick. It'll be a lot of fun. And they'll have special art jerseys that you can bid on starting tomorrow as well. Saturday is Faith Night. Darryl Strawberry will be there to give his testimony, former Yankee and Met player who, he was a great player on the field. He had his struggles off the field, and you will have the opportunity to hear his story. Also, from talking to Gus, I actually spoke to him again yesterday, and he said, yes, there are still a couple of tickets available if you want to get into the meet and greet, where you can get a couple of things signed, you get a picture, and again, you get to meet Darryl Strawberry face to face. That might be kind of fun and interesting for you if you are a fan of the Yankees or the Mets, or just Darryl Strawberry, or you just like to meet famous people. I know card collectors will probably be there doing their thing. You know, you get an autograph of a professional player, it raises the value 99% of the time of that card or that photo or that jersey or ball, whatever it is you have signed. You know, when I do that, I'm not doing it to flip it. I'm doing it because it goes in my personal collection. So I don't chase down every player all the time, only ones that I'm a big fan of. You know, I have Cal Ripken stuff and Sonny Jurgensen stuff from back in the Redskins days and things like that. You know, those are things that, you know, they're people that I like to root for back in the day. But I'm not collecting every player. I'm not starstruck by every player or, you know, famous artist that I've met throughout the years doing radio or in baseball. And I think that players actually appreciate that sometimes. Plus, if you're in media, I know people do it. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to take selfies with players. That is a big no-no. Sometimes it'll get your credentials taken away. It almost happened to me by accident in NASCAR. I was interviewing some NASCAR guys, and there were kids all around signing, and the guy, Casey Kane, was the racer. And Casey Kane was signing autographs for kids, and my credentials were hanging around my neck, and they were hanging down, and he just grabbed everything that was in front of him, including my credentials, and signed my credentials. Now, yes, I was a fan. I am a fan of Casey Kane. He's not racing anymore. He owns some independent racing teams. But I was in the chow line. I was in line to get some food. And one of the vice presidents of the Vegas track where I was called me aside and scolded me. I mean, she looked at me and she's pointing her finger and yelling at me, telling me how I'm going to lose my credentials. I didn't even notice that it had been signed. I mean, I didn't even think about it. And I said, look, I was interviewing him and, there were a bunch of people around and kids were there and he was just signing everything. Well, don't let it happen again. I was like, wow. So I learned that lesson very quickly. You should not do that. I mean, I've interviewed, way back in the day, I interviewed Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. at the same time at, before it was Camden Yards at Old Memorial Stadium when I was a very young broadcaster. And I couldn't take any pictures. I'm sitting there in the dugout with two of the most famous players of all time. And Ken Griffey Jr., one of my favorite players of all time. And I couldn't, you kidding. You can't get an autograph. That's a big no-no, huge no-no. So you just don't do it. Anyways, in sports, sometimes I digress. Here we go. Bay Sox. They beat the Reading. It's not Reading. It's the Reading Fightin' Phils 3-2 yesterday. Joseph DeZuerza pitched 6 scoreless without giving up an earned run now in 3 straight starts. He's now up to 19 innings with no earned runs given up. And that's after starting in Frederick and moving up to Double-A. It's almost time for him to move up now because he's not facing much of a challenge even at the Double-A level. Right now, he is second overall in earned run average in all of Double-A. So each team's Double-A teams, he has the second best earned run average, not the second highest, the second best earned run average at 1.98. And he is second behind Chesapeake's Anthony Ianson, who they just picked up in the trade for the Orioles. They had a bigger trade earlier in the week, and the Orioles picked up all these prospects. And some of those guys are playing in Bowie. Some of them are playing in Frederick. And I got to tell you, the Orioles pitching staff of the future, if they don't do anything crazy like dump these guys, or they don't give up on them too soon, or they don't trade them for a current superstar, the Orioles pitching staff is going to be stacked in the future. Unfortunately, making those decisions for this year didn't happen as well as we would have liked. But these guys coming up, help is on the way, Orioles. We've seen these guys play. Help is definitely on the way. So again, 3 straight starts, no earned runs in his last 19 innings. He struck out 5 of the first 6 hitters last night. 6 guys to the plate, 5 struck out. 7 total strikeouts over 6 innings. So again, a great job done by DeZuerza in Bowie. They are 4 games behind Erie for the second half championship, which is what it's going to take for Bowie to make it into the playoffs. Richmond won the first half. Bowie's got to win the second half. There are, let's see here, 33 games, I believe. That's what it was. 33 games left in the regular season. They are 23-18 in the second half. So again, the Bay Sox, an opportunity still this late in the season to make the playoffs, which will be kind of nice. Let's see, with 18 games left, 9 at home, Hagerstown got a victory last night on the road. They have now won 5 in a row. That's kind of nice. Hagerstown. No, I'm sorry. That I've got that mixed up with Aberdeen. That's coming up next. Hagerstown is playing better. They play a doubleheader today at the Charleston Dirty Birds, and Hagerstown spanked the Dirty Birds last night 6-2. Get your mind out of the gutter. It was a baseball game, right? They were Dirty Birds, and they got spanked. All right, 6-2. Aberdeen. We hadn't talked about them much lately, and maybe that is why they're winning. I don't know, but I tell you what, they have 18 games left as well. They are 18-11 in the second half. They are 8-2 in the last 10 games, and they have won 5 in a row. That's the team that used to be in Frederick last year, and they moved them over to Aberdeen in the draft league. They won 14-7, so they outscored Williamsport by a touchdown. Williamsport won the first half, so whoever wins the second half will play Williamsport in the playoffs for the Major League Baseball's draft league. They play the Crosscutters at home tonight at 7:00. So again, it looks good for these teams. Aberdeen in first place right now, 1.5 games ahead with 18 games to play, 9 of those at home. So I recommend going to check out Aberdeen. So, our local teams, the teams we've been reporting on all year, Orioles, they're in the race for wild card and making the playoffs. Nationals, they're still not out of the race, and they're playing way above what anybody thought they would be. Playing around 500 ball, and there's a lot of teams right there. One good run is all it takes to make the playoffs for them. Bowie's already in the playoffs. Not Bowie. Frederick is already in the playoffs. Bowie, again, only 4 games out and only 1 team in front of them. So we could have all of our local baseball teams that we've been following all season long in the playoffs in September. That could make for an interesting month of September in sports, too, because football will be underway, high school sports will be underway, college ball will be underway, the NFL, and then shortly after, hockey and the National Basketball Association. The WNBA will be winding down their season. DC United will still be playing until November. I mean, there's going to be a lot going on once we get to September, especially if we get all these playoff games, and even some of them right here in Frederick. I'm looking forward to all of it. Remember, if you want playoff tickets and you don't want to have to sit in the general admission, they're not bad seats, by the way, in that stadium, the way they redesigned it. I highly recommend going to the Frederick Keys website and get yourself some tickets to check those guys out in the playoffs. There are 2 games in the playoffs that are guaranteed to be at home if needed. Game 1's on the road. Game 2 and 3, if needed, will be in Frederick. It's a best-of-3 series. So if they can sweep it, there's one game at home. And if they split the first 2, again, Game 3 will be at home. It is home field advantage for the Frederick Keys. Wow, there's so much cool stuff going on. We picked the right time to get this thing started, didn't we? Just building up to the playoffs. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, again, remember, high school sports are underway. If you know a high school coach, if you are an athletic director, we'd love to have you on the show. And what did they say in Greece at the very beginning when the coach came on, or the principal came on? If you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. I think that's what she said to the kids at the beginning. So anyways, remember that. If you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. We all know what that means. All right, let's wrap this thing up. I appreciate you hanging out with me on a Thursday. Again, you want to be part of the show. You want to let us know information that's going on. It's very easy. Just hit me up directly. rockthewave13@gmail.com. And again, don't forget Good Morning Frederick at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for your Friday. Danny will get you updated on the greatest calendar in the land, and she'll let you know everything that's going on all weekend long. I'll be back with John's House at 10 o'clock, and then back here again tomorrow afternoon with Frederick Sports at 4. And check out all the other great podcasts, because there's a ton of them and more coming. I mean, there was a person here today talking about doing a podcast. I mean, it's continually growing on the Everything Frederick Live Network. Pass the word, tell your friends, like and subscribe, and we'll be back and do this again tomorrow. Again, remember, you are what you watch and you listen to. My name is John Hunt, and you've been watching Frederick Sports.
Thanks for watching Frederick Sports with John Hunt. From the pros to the colleges, the high schools, and the youth leagues that make Frederick Sports special, we're here to tell the stories behind the games, the teams, and the people who make it all happen. Make sure to like, share, and comment, and join us again next time for more Frederick Sports.
This episode is a proud production of the Everything Frederick Live Podcast Network, your home for Frederick's best podcasts, streaming daily on YouTube.